When I was 17 years old, I was living on the North Shore of Oahu, and I was a long-haired hippie surfer guy, and expanding my consciousness through natural means, as they say in those days. And I was consuming a plant that had, I didn't realize it, but it had strychnine in it, and it was actually accumulating in my body. And as I was surfing one day, it actually spasmed up my body and it stopped my diaphragm. And in the next 3.5 days, almost 4 days, I ended up led to my tent and unconscious and really was sick. And I almost died. If it wasn't for a lady who found me in the tent, I wouldn't be here today. She led me to a little health food store to help me recover. And one day as I was leaving the health food store, I saw a little flyer on the door saying special guest speaker, Paul C. Bragg, Sunset Recreation Hall, North Shore of Oahu, near Waimea Bay. So something intuitively said, go there. I don't ever go to classes. I was a high school dropout. I hadn't even read a book in my life because I had learning problems as a child. And what was interesting is I went to this class and there was a 93-year-old wise man named Paul Bragg, introduced by this yogi woman to 35 of us sitting on a wooden floor. And he spoke, and it was the most inspiring speech I've ever heard in my life. He was absolutely present. He was certain about what he was doing. He was teaching from wisdom that he had gleaned from age 15 to 93. And he talked about the body, mind, and soul. And he talked about healing, and he talked about vitality, and he talked about the secret. He taught me, he's the one that introduced me to the principles of the secret, the law of attraction, as they call it today. And I sat there for 45 minutes completely mesmerized. I'd never heard anything like this before. And he touched me so deeply, I was brought to tears. Then he said, I want you to think about what you want to do in your life. You know, what you want to, because whatever you decide tonight is going to become your destiny. So I sat there on the floor and I thought, what do I want to do with my life? And I scanned my life and I looked back at when I was a child in first grade, and my teacher told my parents, I'm afraid your son's got learning difficulties and disabilities and dyslexia, and I'm afraid he'll never be able to read, write, or communicate, or never amount to anything or go very far in life. And then I saw myself dropping out of school and end up living on the streets. And I had met a bum on the street when I was 14 years old who took me to a library, and he said, there's only 2 things they can never take away from you, and that is love and wisdom. So you learn how to read, boy, and you gain the wisdom of love and the love of wisdom. Then I saw myself in that tent, almost dead from strychnine poisoning, vomiting and urinating and defecating and very sick and cathartic. And then I saw Paul Bragg there, inspired and present and vital and alive and sharing wisdom like I'd never seen or heard before. And then I just decided that night, I don't know how to describe it, it's just, I wasn't expecting it. I decided, and what came out of me is that I want to do this thing he's doing. I want to study these universal laws as it relates to body, mind, and spirit. I want to travel the world and become a great teacher and philosopher and step foot in every country on the face of the earth and share my research findings with people and help people live like he's doing right now, inspired and magnificent lives. And that's what I set out to do. I had no idea that was going to happen, but from that night, which was 35 years and 1 day ago, that's all I've wanted to do, and that's what I've been focused, and today I get to do that. So it's amazing what can happen. I was interviewed recently on a television show for one of my books, You Can Have an Amazing Life in Just 60 Days. And the skeptic host says, Dr. Demartini, you don't really expect us to believe that you can change your life in now 60 days now, do you? I mean, really? He was skeptical. I looked him straight in the eye. I mean, dead center. A tear came out of my eye. And I said to him, it would be impossible, absolutely impossible to ever convince me you can't change your life in 60 days. Because my life changed in 60 minutes, if not 60 seconds, with one decision from one man, with one message, with one inspiring idea. So don't ever try to convince me that you can't change your life. And you don't have the right to tell the people in these audiences here that they can't, because the possibility of them doing it is real. So anyway, before I got through with that gentleman, he was promoting that book. So it's impossible to convince me that you can't transform your life and live absolutely an amazing life. Because I know I've lived from the streets to where I am today, and I know it's doable. And yes, it's work, and as long as if you live in a fantasy world that it's supposed to be easy, then you're not going to do it, because the second it gets challenging, you're going to give up. You have to face reality and embrace the challenges and tackle the challenges and tackle the problems and take them as saying that these are going to make you stronger, and go for it and hold on to a vision no matter what happens. When you do, the destiny that you dream about is your destiny. You can have it. Paul Bragg told me that, now I'm telling you that.